The NRA has been fighting for the Second Amendment now for decades upon decades, so you're all had at this. You've been doing this for a long time. You've seen the left for a long time and what they've tried to do to erode the Second Amendment. That's one of the reasons that I became an NRA member. In fact, every member of my family is an NRA member. Even Bella is an NRA member. We are gun owners. All of us.
Really, Bella?
We like to shoot.
Yeah.
We like to hunt. And very importantly, we like to protect ourselves, our families, and our homes. Very proud to say that Karen and I got our concealed carry permits. I will say to you that Karen owns more guns than I do. I don't know about most men, but you know, the default gift for most men is to buy flowers on a special occasion. For me, the safe bet, ammo.
Really? Seriously?
Right?
Oh, God.
Right?
Oh, it's so romantic. Oh, you don't send me ammo anymore. Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, that insanity was from the NRA convention that took place this week. And in about an hour, a friend of the show, Cliff Schechter, will join us. He was there. He actually braved the Indianapolis Convention Center or wherever it was. And he wrote about it for the Daily Beast. Yeah. So I'm Nicole Sandler of RadioOrNot.com in for Randi Rhodes, and I wrote this piece that I posted on my blog at RadioOrNot.com back in September after the murder of that young man I was discussing, talking about with Tim Fisher, former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, the Australian student/baseball player who was attending college in Oklahoma and who was gunned down by 3 teenagers who said they were bored. You might remember the whole kerfuffle around that as well, because Fox once again blamed that on race. Remember? They tagged the 3 youths, as they'd say in, what was the movie? Youths?
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. Those 3 youths. Called them 3 black teenagers, when actually, no, they weren't. Again, the race issue creeps into everything these days, doesn't it? But anyway, after that time, and hearing Tim Fisher and what he said, just, you know, it was no longer in Parliament in Australia, but he was warning his fellow Australians to think twice before going to the U.S. because you are, speaking to Australian citizens, you are 15 times more likely to be killed by a gun in the U.S. than you are in Australia. And in fact, I found a chart. We mentioned it. I sent it to him. He brought it up in the interview. Gun-related murder rates in the developed world. And this chart, it's in the piece. It's in the homework section at RandiRhodes.com. It's also on my blog at RadioOrNot.com. This is from the Washington Post, and this is from December of 2012. The day after the Newtown massacre. This article in the Washington Post was published. The U.S. has far more gun-related killings than any other developed country. And you have Japan, South Korea, Iceland with barely a blip, then a small blip, Israel, Australia, Hungary, Poland, Norway, the UK, France. The next level up, again, we're still in minute levels. You got the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Denmark, Estonia, Germany, Spain, Austria, New Zealand. Then the next tick up is Greece and the Netherlands. Next little tick up, and we're still below the first line. That is, I can't even read these numbers, but small, minute numbers. Greece, the Netherlands, Portugal, Finland, Sweden, Canada, then Ireland, Bulgaria, Italy, Belgium, Switzerland, Turkey, Chile jumps up to, to 2. Firearm homicides per 100,000 people. So the first one that gets above 2 is Chile, and then the U.S. is next, and it's almost 3.5. So, and the source for this is the United Nations. It's really, really sickening. And so, look, as we know, the only thing that gets people in power to act on anything is money. Really, honestly, think about it. That's why we're talking about Donald Sterling, isn't it? It's all about the money. In fact, the phone lines are open, 866-87-RANDY, 866-877-2634. Here, Karen in Whittier. Karen in Whittier, the point you want to make is that it's all about the money, the whole Sterling thing, right?
Yeah, I live in Southern California, and I've been sitting here just utterly amused at watching everybody with the faux outrage. It's like, around here, it's like, are you kidding? Everybody, it's like no great secret. Don Sterling is a dirtbag.
Yes.
He bought the Clippers in the 80s.
Yep.
He sat on them, done nothing with the Clips. I always feel sorry for the Clips. They're like one of my favorite teams because they're the underdogs. And see, the problem is the Lakers blow. Okay, and because
didn't used to be that way. When I lived in L.A., the Lakers were the kings of the world, and the Clippers were the joke.
Dr. Buss died.
Yes. Oh, he did.
And that's the problem.
Uh-huh.
And the kids, especially Jim Buss, can't hold their heads out of the nether region.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck ousting the Busses out of the Laker organization. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So what are they going to do? Staples Center and L.A. Live rely on the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Kings can't uphold that area. Who's gonna? They need that business.
Right.
So what do? Oust the old man.
Of course. And so it's only about the money. That's, well, look, as Magic Johnson said, as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, as Dave Zirin said here yesterday, as every publication that's been writing about this thing has been saying, this guy is a dirtbag. He's always been a dirtbag. Why now? I guess, okay, the recordings are titillating.
The problem with it, though, is downtown L.A. is going through a massive
people actually go downtown now. When I lived there, downtown was a ghost town after 6 p.m.
Yeah, they used to roll up the streets after 5 o'clock.
Right.
Now it's like the restaurants are there. People are buying lofts down there. And if you let Staples and LA Live go, it's going to hurt downtown.
Sure.
And they can't because they just got downtown off the ground.
Right.
And if that goes, so, like you said.
So it's all about the money. It's all about the money. And that's why I'm, bringing the guns thing into it. Look, I'm glad they took action, and the Supreme Court says racism is over. But we still have this this gun problem.
Don't get me started because California we had really great gun laws.
Yeah.
Until somebody got smart and messed with our gun laws because now, because our Supreme Court ruled that you can't ban both concealed carry and, what was it? You can't ban concealed carry laws. And so now, especially in Orange County, home of the crazies, they're all like running to the Orange County Sheriff begging for concealed carry. And it's like, oh, fabulous, just what we need now, because we had really good gun laws, especially after the North Hollywood shootout. That really brought it all in. And California's enjoyed really good gun laws, and now, they're starting to dismantle ours.
Wow. Well, look, I'm still kind of disgusted that I'm glad that people acted now that, okay, we've heard the tapes. Don Sterling, as you said, he's a slime ball. He's disgusting. He's despicable. So great. So they're going to drum him out of the league. They banned him for life. Okay. How about we do something about gun violence in this country? If 20 kids being murdered in their first grade classroom doesn't do the trick, how about we hit this country in the pocketbook, hit our tourism industry, and maybe that'll do something.
Well, what you need is an actual shooting at Disneyland.
Oh, God. No, look, I want something done before that happens. So
it's not going to happen.
Anyway, Karen, I thank you so much for the call. And here's the issue. All right. According to the International Business Times, travel and tourism in the U.S. is flourishing compared to the overall national economy, which still ain't great, right? Spending on U.S. travel and tourism rose by 6.8% in the first 3 months of 2013 compared to national gross domestic product growth of about 2.4% in the same quarter. Tourism, 6.8, domestic growth, gross domestic product, 2.4%. Growth in tourism spending has mostly stayed higher than GDP growth since about mid-2010, according to Bureau data. In early 2011, tourism spending rose by about 10%, while GDP growth stayed at 2% or lower. right? According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, travel and tourism's total contribution to GDP in the Americas was $1.9 trillion in 2011, or 8.6% of total GDP. This compares to 6% for automotive and mining, 7% for chemicals. So I say, hit them where it hurts. If the politicians can just step over all the dead bodies in the road, let's see how they react to huge monetary losses for their corporate benefactors and their districts, right? I can't imagine how else we get them to act. How else we get them to act on our behalf. So, Tim Fisher said what we need to do is get the ambassadors to the U.S. from other nations to weigh in. Now, Tim Fisher, unfortunately, is no longer in Parliament in Australia. But I'm just trying to figure out how we get some sensible gun laws. The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia. Now, there's somebody else who had a great idea, and he happens to be a former Supreme Court justice. Yeah. John Paul Stevens, who retired a few years ago, he was replaced by Sonia Sotomayor, has a new book out. And the book is, do I have it here? It's 6 amendments, how and why we should change the Constitution. And one of those 6 amendments he is proposing is a change to the Second Amendment. And his change to the Second Amendment, I'm trying to find the language here, basically, I'm paraphrasing. Oh, here it is. He proposes adding 5 words to the text of the Second Amendment to make it unambiguously conform to the original intent of its draftsman. John Paul Stevens writes in his new book, as so amended, it would read, quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms when serving in the militia shall not be infringed. I like that one. I also like the idea of other countries issuing official travel advisories warning their citizens about the dangers due to gun violence of traveling in the U.S. What do you think? 866-87-RANDY, 866-877-2634. We got to do something. And if the country is so outraged over some old, disgusting man, being racist, where's the outrage over 20 little kids being gunned down in their classroom? Let's do something. Nicole for Randi, back with your calls next. All right. Well, Randi is off this week. She will be back on Monday to wrap this whole thing up. In the meantime, I'm Nicole Sandler of RadioOrNot.com. And, yes, we're talking about, the Donald Sterling thing, wondering why, first of all, why it took so long. Apparently, just about anybody who pays attention to the basketball business knows what a slime dog he is. He's been. It's no secret. He's a slumlord. He had to pay the largest fine ever levied by the DOJ because of his, the laws that he broke in terms of discrimination in housing. It's no secret. And that wasn't enough to get him banned for life from the NBA. But a recording with his mistress about his disdain for her taking pictures and posting them on the internet with black people. That got everybody nuts. And so that this is the number one issue. There was a mass shooting today at a FedEx facility outside of Atlanta. And actually, the city in Atlanta happens to be, let me pull it up. The name of the city is Kennesaw, Georgia. It's about, I think, 40 miles outside of Atlanta. And guess what? In Kennesaw, Georgia, gun ownership is mandatory. Yeah, a law passed, I want to say, in like 1982 or so, mandates that the head of each household must, is mandated to own a gun. And not only that, is mandated to have the firearms, the ammunition for that weapon. Yeah, what was that thing about if only there were good guys with guns? This town, I guess, was full of them. but a 19-year-old kid went into the FedEx facility where he worked, and, he started shooting up the place. 6 people were injured, 2 of them still in critical condition, 1 serious. I think the others were either already released or are being released, but 2 still in critical condition. And, gun ownership is mandatory there. And in July, the new Georgia Guns Everywhere law takes effect. Yeah, a new law that says that guns are allowed everywhere takes effect in July. I'm sorry. I think we're moving in the wrong direction. 866-87-RANDY is the number. 866-877-2634. Dean in Los Angeles. Hi.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi. What's on your mind?
I haven't called in months, but I'm so glad I found you guys again.
I'm glad you did too.
This issue is certainly very big in L.A., but I had listened to a psychiatrist, therapist, research guy on public radio about gun violence. Sadly, it's about the only place you can find something like that.
Yeah.
But he was saying one of the drawbacks that he's noticed is that in the argument of like fighting issues such as this, when there are people who very clearly have a left-leaning or right-leaning sentiment, that any incident, trying to actually create change based on any immediate incident, actually people become emboldened and they tend to go more in favor of where they stand. So his point was, if we wait for an incident like another Columbine or something to happen, it actually you come up against the NRA and everybody screaming and yelling, watch, they're going to attack us.
We've already had the incident. I mean, what could be worse than Newtown? Really, I can't think of anything worse. 26 and 7-year-olds in their first grade classroom gunned down. Teachers, who were trying to save them, gave their lives, guarding these children with their bodies. I mean, the worst conceivable situation ever, and crickets. Nothing.
Gabby Giffords, who literally shot him in the head at point-blank range.
Right.
But his point is basically that it needs to be this constant, absolute, never-ending push to lobby, because it's really about lobbying. That's what the
and the NRA has got a lot of money, and they're pushing for more. And they're saying it's about freedom. What about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? I think that comes above, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the free state. I mean, as John Paul Stevens said, it's got nothing to do with an individual having guns.
No,
nothing.
Exactly. There's 28 states now that have laws that allow guns to be carried.
It's amazing. And in Georgia soon, where there was a mass shooting at a FedEx facility this morning, pretty soon you'll be able to have your gun everywhere. School, church, police station, doesn't matter. Nicole for Randy. We'll be right back. All right. Well, Randy will be back on Monday. And in the meantime, you got me, Nicole Sandler of RadioOrNot.com. We're going to take a little break from what we've been discussing. We'll get back to guns and the disconnect between the outrage over Donald Sterling, a well-known racist for years, and and all that. We'll get back to all that in a bit. But yesterday we mentioned that Sean would come in here and talk about the homework that is up at the RandyRhodes.com every day in preparation for the show. The show is ending on May 16th.
Right.
It sucks. It just flat out sucks. I'm hoping Randy will reemerge. As I mentioned yesterday, she has an open invitation to join me anytime at RadioOrNot.com. I'm going to keep broadcasting there or webcasting as long as the Internet will allow me to. But in the meantime, we got to figure out ways to make sure that you are informed. Hopefully you'll listen to my show. But, there's that homework issue. And so Sean wanted to let you know how the homework is put together each day, so it's something you can do as well.
It's one of the biggest requests I think that we've had over the years, Nicole, is that everybody always loves to know, how do you do it? How do you do it? And the fact of the matter is it's key to what It's key to what Randy does. It's key to, what you do. It's key to what any good talk radio host does, whether they're talking about news or sports or whatever, is gathering the information, getting it out there.
Well, it's facts, and that's what sets us apart, I think, from, what they do over at Fox, where they continuously lie, they make stuff up. I mean, I said I had a new slogan for Fox News. I even offered it to them free of charge. Fox News, we make bleep up. They haven't taken me up on it yet. But so and Randi is just, she is, what's the word? She is just intrepid about it. I mean,
she's very, very good.
She's
very demanding about it.
She is demanding, and
in a good way.
Before she tells you anything, she checks something. She double checks it. She wants at least 2 sources, or is it 3, before she'll go with anything.
Well, this is part of how we do the homework. So if you've always wanted to know, get out your pencils, get out your notepad, get out your phone, and take notes, because I'll run it down. It's 7 simple steps. And it will help you understand even when, Randi is gone doing something else. It's very simple. You're going to need a couple items. You're going to need a computer. I'm sorry, this day and age.
The interwebs.
Exactly. If you don't think you have one, you pay for it at the library, so you do have a computer one way or another. And you need time, because being a member, a well-informed and well-educated member of society, somebody who should be in the voting booth, that takes time. And if you can't take the time, then you shouldn't complain about the results. So those are the first 2 things you need. Then you need to start with the news. Now, we have a list here at randyrhodes.com, the things that we look up, the shows that we look at, and the news sources. Generally, you start with the news sources, your New York Times, your Washington Post, Reuters, Wall Street Journal, L.A. Times. Look at any of these sites. And, in fact, we recommend that you look at most of them. If you can't get to know some of the reporters, you'll see them talking on some of the shows on, Chris Hayes and Rachel, and you'll see them talking on CNN, on Wolf Blitzer. If they're friendly, you may want to see if you can find another source. You want at least 2 and preferably 3 independent sources, people who are saying the same thing who do not necessarily know each other. They aren't chummy. They aren't, hey, Nicole, here's what I saw, and then you go, oh, hey, I saw the same thing. Find people who don't know each other and are saying the same thing. If they don't know each other and they're saying the same thing, they probably know what's going on. So that's your second step. You start with the news itself. Then you move to aggregators. People like Greg Sargent and Paul Waldman at the Plumb Line. Greg is fantastic.
Well, Paul Waldman is at the American Prospect.
Well, right,
he fills in for Greg Sargent when he's out.
Yeah, he's actually helping quite a lot there.
Is he? Cool.
Yeah.
And his long-form stuff at prospect.org is great as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonk Blog. Washington Post, when Ezra Klein and Evan Soltis was doing it, it's good. The new folks who are doing it are also very good.
And you know what? Ezra's new site, Vox.com, is pretty good, too.
Fantastic site there. Nate Silvers, 538. His people are very good. These are all aggregator sites. HuffPost Hill, Politico Playback. The idea is these are people whose job it is to do some of the same kind of thing we do at randyrhodes.com and some of the same kind of thing you'll be putting up at radioornot.com.
I will be doing a homework section every day because it's the work, you know what? When I prep for my show, I do it anyway. I've never assembled it as you guys have for Randi, but now I will because I think it's important to put all the information in one place where it's easy to find because information is what you need. That's our best weapon, is knowledge.
What does Randi always say?
Knowledge is power.
Information is the coin of the realm. And that's
there you go.
And hey, if they have money, remember, they want to say that their speech is money, fine. Our speech is knowledge. And I kind of like our speech a little bit better than theirs. But, okay, so you start with the news, you move to the aggregators. As you're doing this, anytime you see a story that is interesting, or it's the story of the day, for example, the Donald Sterling story, you take those links, those bookmarks. You can write them down if you need to. You can use bookmark organizing tools. You can use bookmark organizing apps. You can just use folders in, like Chrome, for example, allows you to move from device to device and keep your bookmarks. But make a folder for the links that you're picking out that day. Go through and pick out a bunch of them, and when you fill up your screen, you fill up your tabs, put them all in a folder, close that one, and start a whole new folder. You can put as many folders as you want. Because the goal, once you get all of these together, you started with the fact that you needed the time and the computer. You were there. Then you started with the news sites. You got the news of the day. You moved to the aggregators, and you saw what they thought was important. Then you go to the fourth step. You check some of the top writers and journalists that are out there. Some of our favorites here at the Randi Rhodes Show include people like Michael Tomasky, Brian Beutler, Joan Walsh, John Nichols, who I think...
John Nichols will be here tomorrow in the first hour.
Exactly. Erin Carmone, Amanda Turkle, David K. Johnston. These are all
David K. Johnston will hopefully be here Thursday or Friday.
Excellent. See, this is why we pick these people, and this is why they come on the shows. It's go to also some of the trusted websites, people who have proven over time that they know what they're talking about. Mother Jones, New Republic, Daily Beast, The New Yorker, The Nation. These are all good sources. You pull all of the links, you put them in a pile in your computer, and then comes the fifth step. It's sorting.
Yeah.
You look at your list of links. What stories go together? Put all the stories together. You know that some places, the New Republic has about 3 different versions of its headline for each story. But you get kind of a general idea. As you've been looking at these stories, I'm not asking you to read each and every story. I'm asking you to buzz them at first. Buzz them, put them together, so now you've got, several piles of stories. You've got a pile of stories on Sterling over here, or you've got piles of some of the political things going on in the world, like the ridiculous thing that the right is making about what Secretary of State Kerry said today,
right.
or things about the economy and government. And you get these piles of stories. They appear because they all kind of go together on that day. That's your fifth step. The sixth step, you read. Sit down, pick a topic. Pick the Sterling topic. Pick the guns topic. Pick the inequality topic, and read. Read those 3, 4, 5 stories. This whole process should take you about an hour. 30 minutes for organizing, 30 minutes for reading.
Well, more than 30 minutes for reading, if you really want to digest and read all that stuff.
Right. If you want to do it in multiples, yes. I mean, you can take as much as you want. But for people who say, well, I don't have the time, take an hour out. You're watching garbage TV anyway. Some of it's not very good. You take an hour out of your life and make yourself a better voter. Take a half an hour to organize. Take a half an hour to read this stuff. And then one of the most important things, you need to talk about it. You need to get out there and talk about it. You need to listen and interact with people like Nicole. You need to go to some of the other shows out there. Tom and Ed and Stephanie and call them, talk to them, but not just them. When you're in the grocery store line and somebody is spouting off, "Oh, Sarah Palin is the smartest woman I've ever heard." Confront that person. Be like, really? Do you know what she said about baptism? Do you know what she said about guns? Do you know what she said about... You need to stand up for what you believe in. And part of that means putting your money where your mouth is. So that means, I know that, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, these are all subscriptions. I also know that, people like Nicole do some really great radio. But... none of this stuff is free, folks. None of it is free. It's not easy doing this stuff. And anything worth doing is worth giving some time, some energy to. The Supreme Court says that money is speech. Money is your give-a-damn. If your give-a-damn isn't broken, quit spending it on an $8 cup of coffee. Quit wasting it on something that you don't care about, and put it towards something you do. Because it matters. If you think that what's going on in our politics matter, if you think making things better, if you think making the country better is worth it, then prove it. Put your money where your mouth is.
Part of the thing is that the business model has changed.
Absolutely.
Look, there used to be, you could get a job in local radio and do a good live local show and be paid nicely for it. You're not going to get rich doing local radio unless you are the #1 morning show in town.
True.
Then you can make good money. But it used to be you could make a decent living doing it. That has ended. There is very little local radio. It's all syndicated. And so I heard a lot of people saying, well, maybe Randi will just go back to WJNO, from which she broadcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Not going to happen because of the plethora of syndicated stuff out there. No local station has the budget to pay a live local personality anymore.
One of the stories that I found today that I put in the homework at randyrhodes.com, it's in the homework section today, it's from Al Jazeera, who is, by the way, a great source. They are another great source that we use. Small towns with local investment, print journalism, your small-town local newspapers are actually starting to do fairly well, some of them.
Because there's no more local radio.
And also because people care.
Yeah.
Because people are starting to care, and people are starting to put their money where their mouth is. They say, I care about my local sports teams. I care about my local school board. I care about my local politics. Great, that's fine. But that also equates to, shows like yours, outlets like Free Speech TV. These are all things that
are all listener supported.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. See, just like public radio, how NPR stations or even other Pacifica stations, or we won't go there, they do the fund drives.
Correct.
My show, I would take advertising dollars, but I'm a one woman show. I do everything. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. I do everything.
Right.
And I'm not a salesperson. So I'd rather people contribute, and they do. I need more of them. That's the way it's going to work now. I don't think there's a local station out there that's going to pay me a salary anymore. Those don't exist. And as we know, there's only a handful of progressive talk stations left on the public airwaves. That's another issue entirely.
But it's also an important one in that, as Randy's show goes away, advocate. Mm-hmm. If you've got a great station like 92.1 The Mic or KTRC 1260
you've got to support them.
Absolutely. Call, let them know, let the advertisers know that you appreciate that they are standing up for what
they're keeping those stations on the air.
Yeah.
And if you let those advertisers know that you're hearing their advertising on the station, and then you support them with your dollars, that means everything in the world.
Exactly. So it's about what we do. We always talk about, Randy has always said, it's about getting out. It's about you getting involved, and this is one way that we can do it. So now that we've gone through this, let me run through this one more time, and we'll get this up. We'll get it up at randyrhodes.com. We'll get it up. We'll pass to Nicole, and she can put it up at radioornot.com. Mm-hmm. But the steps, there's 7 simple steps. It's really easy. You're going to need that time, and you're going to need a computer. So start with that. Then you start with the news. Remember, places like Al Jazeera, New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, those kind of things. Then you move to your aggregators like the Plum Line, the Wonk Blog, HuffPost Hill, Political Playback, that kind of thing. Then you go to your favorite writers and journalists, people that you know that you've learned to trust, like John Nichols and David K. Johnston and Joan Walsh and Michael Tomasky. These are all great people. Then you need to sort all of those links that you've picked up for the day into piles that make sense. The basketball stuff over here, the gun stuff over here, the inequality stuff over here. Then you take the time and read it, and then you have to talk about it. This is how it's done. This is how we've done it 18 hours a day. Randy wasn't kidding when she said that. We wake up at about 7:30 in the morning. We all start going, 7:30 depending, and we all start going, and we get to bed later than we should, and we do it 5.5 days a week, and we do it 52 weeks a year.
Yep.
And
it's a lifestyle, because you're always in show prep mode. Always gathering information.
Exactly. But as my granddad always said, anything worth doing is worth doing well. So there you go.
All right. So, and I'm going to continue doing this at radioornot.com.
Yay.
There are lots of ways to listen. Just the first step is visiting the website. And you'll see.
And a great new message board.
Great new message board. It is modeled on the Randi Rhodes message board. So it will look very familiar. All right. Phone lines are open. 866-87-RANDY, 866-877-2634. We'll get back to the discussion, because this is what we do. It's important to talk about these things. And again, my overall topic for today is, after the NRA convention that took place last weekend, and the stuff they're spewing, and I don't understand the disconnect. This massive outrage over the fact that one guy who's been known to be a racist is a racist. Great, now we have proof. We've got it in his own words. Okay, good. And look how they did it. Boom. Settled. But yet still nothing has been done about our gun epidemic. And I spoke to a guy from Australia, former deputy prime minister, who said, we had a massacre and we took action and we fixed it, and you can too. Let's do it already. I put out an idea. Want to know what you think. Get other countries to issue travel advisories about traveling to the U.S. because it's dangerous. Hit them in the pocketbook. Because we've learned the only thing that makes these guys, our elected officials, take notice and do something is money. All right, Nicole for Randy, back with your calls next. All right, well, it is Nicole Sandler in for Randy Rhodes. And again, you can always find me at radioornot.com. This week, while I'm in for Randy, I've got our friend Jacob Dean filling in for me, though I will do a doubleheader on Thursday, and we'll have some fun. And it'll give you a chance to head over to radioornot.com from 10 to noon Eastern and see how easy it is to either listen or watch the video stream. And again, it's always free. All right, 866-87-RANDY is the number, 866-877-2634. Back to your calls, and Yaz in Denver, Colorado, listening on AM 760. Hey, Yaz.
How's it going, Nicole? How's your day going?
Going all right. You?
I'm doing okay. I'm just getting ready for work, but I figured I'd call in to talk a little bit about the gun topic.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in San Diego, and when I was a freshman in high school, we had a shooting while I was at school. It happened right after lunch.
Ah.
We were all in our classrooms, and, a couple students got shot, a couple teachers got shot. We were in lockdown for several hours. We had to be evacuated by the SWAT team. We missed a week of school. And, for the rest of the school year especially.
What year was this?
This was back in 2001, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Spring.
Okay.
And it was a week after another shooting in the same school district where students had actually been killed.
Yeah.
So it was on our mind for the rest of the year and really throughout the rest of high school. Anytime you'd hear a weird noise or anytime something just didn't feel right, we'd be worried that there would be another shooting. So I think it's really easy for people to not understand how impactful being a part of violence is on your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
And, I have been living in Denver for about 5 years now, and I still remember the day of the Aurora shooting. Now, I didn't know anyone personally that was there, that was shot there, but one of my best friends who lives out here, his lifelong friend from high school was killed that night. He was killed basically just trying to shield his girlfriend from a bullet. So he dove on top of her, and he was killed instantly at the scene. And, for the rest of for basically the next year, it really had a huge toll on my good friend. And, we've talked about it all the time, and he basically just was in a really bad place. And, to think that this happens every day to people.
Yeah.
Some of us don't.
It happens every day. And the fact that it's not the lead story every day is kind of crazy.
This is the Randy
Nicole
Rhodes
for Randy.
Show on the Premier Radio Networks.